G'day guys and gal, I hope you're holding on to something because this video is going to rock you to the core. GW in recent times have done an absolutely massive retcon to the setting of Warhammer 40k, changing the very foundations of the lore itself, and the kicker is that no one even noticed. I didn't even notice till recently because it's basically just sprinkled into a bunch of random books that no one has actually read. Basically, the origins of the Eldar, Necrons, and Chaos have all been dramatically changed, with the nature of the war in heaven being heavily different now. It basically puts Chaos as the big bad guys of the setting at day one and makes Slaanesh a thing since day one, despite being created by the Eldar in recent-ish times. Basically, the retcon has made shit more confusing, kind of ruined the Necrons a bit, and just makes me eye roll a bit that Chaos keeps getting propped up as the main antagonist of the setting when they're about as bland and flat as... It's the first 3 minutes of the video, so I can't finish that sentence, but I love how it react to the comment that finishes it and makes me laugh the most. Before we get started, we have come to the end of the latest Majorkill merch drop. The drop will be live for a few more days over the weekend, then we'll be gone for good, so this is your last chance. The Lord of the Night t-shirt and singlet is sold out, with the Nothing to Lose design having only a handful left. The Flesh is Weak design also doesn't have many left, but will last slightly longer than the Nothing to Lose. It's quite lore friendly that the Sacrifice design sold the worst and has the most still remaining. Even in merch form, they who lament still copied the worst. I'm not even mad about it, the irony is great. As for the hoodie, there's about 30 or so of those left, and like everything in this drop, this design is not getting restocked. If none of these tickle your pickle, we still have a few legacy designs remaining, such as the Reject You design and the Ashamed design. Two of my favorites that still have a few dozen left from the previous drop. All orders over $100 will get a free fuckhead Santa hat, at least until we run out of hats. So if you don't get one, that's why, but I don't think that should be an issue if you order quickly. Full transparency, it's unlikely this will reach you by Christmas. Maybe if you order express, but no guarantee. Unless you're an Aussie, then you'll be sweet. Link is below. Today we'll go over this very dramatic and very unknown retcon in detail, trying to figure out what is actually going on and why I think this retcon was stupid and only really served to jerk Chaos off to make them seem more like a big bad scary antagonist. Now let's get into it. The War in Heaven was originally the first big thing that happened in 40k. I've spoken about it in great detail on this channel. The Necron tier met the Old Ones told them to fuck off when the Necron tier asked to become immortal, so in their spite, the Necron tier sold their souls and flesh to the Catan to be remade as the Necrons, thus kicking off a massive galaxy-spanning war that saw the Catan split into shards, the Necrons put to sleep, the Old Ones destroyed, and the Eldar rising to the top of the food chain. But now that's not really what happened, but it kinda is, but it isn't. It's fucking annoying. The newish retcon, and I say newish because it's actually been around for a few years but no one has really picked up on it, like it's news to me, is that a billion years or so before the War in Heaven, the Old Ones were battling Chaos as their arch nemesis, and even teamed up with the Necron tier to combat them. In the retcon, the Eldar were not made as the Old One's successors or as weapons against Necrons, but as weapons against Chaos. They were designed to be Chaos resistant, which is why even the Dark Eldar, the most depraved drug-fueled rapists ever, don't even worship Slaanesh. First up, like what? The Necron Empire is like billions of years old, the Eldar are over 1 billion years old, not a whole lot to show for it. 1 billion years of galactic dominance should see every single planet in the galaxy under your control. Also, how the fuck did the Old Ones, the Eldar at their peak, and the Necron tier struggle against Chaos when the Imperium has been doing a pretty solid job of it for the last 10,000 years? Who was even feeding Chaos at the time? They didn't seem to have massive races of sentient beings worshipping and empowering them. Also, how the fuck does Slaanesh exist and wage war against the Old Ones and their allies 1 billion years ago, but then get birthed in the 31st millennium and eat the Eldar gods then? Like, wouldn't they have already fought against her? I'll try to answer these questions and more during this video. To combat Chaos, the Old Ones and Necron tier built massive planet-sized prisons that they basically used to trap and permanently contain the hordes of hell. The idea being that as demons are shards of their respective Chaos gods, if you throw an army of demons in prison, you are imprisoning a shard of that Chaos god and permanently weakening it. If they were to then destroy those hordes, those demons would then go back into the warp and reform. Thus, Chaos doesn't actually make a net loss. I would have thought that the Old Ones would have figured out a way to permakill demons, since there is a bunch of shit that can do it in the current setting, most notably a lot of psychic energy, you know, the thing that makes the Old Ones literal gods, the thing that the Eldar use. But that's just one of the many plot holes that have now arisen from this stupid ass retcon. After a metric fuckton of years of war, it seems as if enough demons were imprisoned for Chaos to back off. Fast forward a billion years or so to the War in Heaven, where it now seems as if the Necron tier, instead of meeting the old ones and getting upset that the old ones wouldn't give them extended lifespans, just grew too ambitious or something, potentially wanting to claim the old ones' territory for themselves. I mean, the original motives of the Silent King wanting to unite his people against a common enemy as a way to end their infighting is probably still legit, but now there's this other layer to things. Thus, the two sides fought, and then the lore goes back to how it was in canon, with the Necron tier getting smashed and then accepting the C'tan's bargain to become the Necrons, thus kicking off the War in Heaven as we know it. However, Chaos felt left out, so instead of the C'tan gaining the upper hand and then turning on themselves and then getting betrayed by the Necrons, whilst the Enslaver plague came to turbo fuck the old ones and the Elder, Chaos and a shitload of demons randomly also got involved, which once again confuses the hell out of me. How the fuck did the Elder rise to become the dominant force in the galaxy after technically losing the War in Heaven, then getting pushed back to their last strongholds, then getting attacked by the Enslavers who were super powerful against Psykers, and now we're throwing in Chaos? I'm just so confused, like, step 1, hectic war, we are losing bad. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, total control of the galaxy. The War in Heaven was already confusing enough, and now it's just like, my brain. To play a bit of fairness, the new lore does state that Chaos got involved in the War in Heaven not just randomly, but because the rampage at the C'tan destroyed a bunch of the demon cages, giving Chaos enough power to re-enter the setting, which is a cool lore tidbit as it still allows some blame for Chaos's existence to be put upon in the War in Heaven, but it's a shining gem of lore in an ocean of shit. Now, I'm all for updated lore and retcons when you need to do it. After all, the original War in Heaven lore was like 15 years old, but it was also pretty bloody good, and I was okay with being mildly confused by it because they really made it feel like an ancient tale of myth and legend. The story's getting twisted over the millennia, but still sounding great. The Necrons' arrogance in the current setting also makes sense, as they technically won the War in Heaven, and then even overthrew their own gods. Chaos was just this upstart faction of warp creatures brought about them by the lesser races tinkering in things they didn't understand. Chaos was an inconvenience to the Necrons, not a genuine threat, because the War in Heaven made Chaos look like a bitch. But now you'd think the Necrons would be like, holy fuck, our old enemy from billions of years ago is back. This is bad. Chaos was so much better when it was caused by the misuse of the warp by psychic races. The War in Heaven was a fantastic origin story for Chaos. Countless sextillions of deaths in a galaxy-spanning war, turning the Sea of Souls from an afterlife and place of reincarnation to this hateful realm of darkness. Part of Chaos being compelling is the fact that it is actually beatable, but due to the hatred and mistrust of all the factions against each other, Chaos thrives. But now they are this day one cosmic force that is 100% unbeatable. It doesn't make them a better villain, it just makes them more wanky. From what I can tell, this whole retcon came about because GW wanted to create these demon cages as a plot point, something to create stakes, but then they just took it too far by saying that it was a billion years old and that Chaos is super epic and powerful. As for why Slaanesh was around billions of years ago despite getting born only like 10,000 years ago in the setting, is because GW are annoying and are overcomplicating things for no reason. But the in-law reason is that because the warp is timeless, everything that will ever happen has already happened. Hence Slaanesh getting born 10,000 years ago means she is also allowed to exist at the dawn of time as well. Yes, this also creates a metric fuckload of plot holes and other lore issues, as well as kind of making everything preordained, which is something I hate in fictional universes. It also clashes a lot with the lore, as Warhammer has made it clear that the future is never set, that acts of incredible will can shatter the predicted future and shake things up. Gilliman's resurrection, for example, but this directly contradicts with a timeless warp. I'm probably just salty because shit like this makes my job a lot harder. For those that are confused as to how I know that Slaanesh was around during the dawn of the setting, it's because some of those big ass demon cages built a billion years ago contain Slaaneshi demons, so there you go. All of this basically says that the warp has been an absolute shithole full of demons and chaos from day one. It doesn't mean Chaos controls the whole warp. After all, the Elder gods used to control a big chunk of it, which allowed the Elder to reincarnate, whilst the old ones were able to access enough of the warp to build the webway. However, the webway was built originally because the warp is a dangerous shithole. I think I'm just exacerbated because this retcon straight up contrasts with other established lore. I thought this kind of plot holy stuff for the sake of creating stakes was behind us. I'm not really sure what GW will do with this next, if they have realized that this retcon was dumb, which is potentially the case since it doesn't really get brought up anymore, with the books that referenced it coming out in 2016 and 2018. Or maybe they will double down on it and start retconning more and more stuff, but I really hope they don't. I'm kinda sad I stumbled on the truth, so I'm bringing you guys down with me. In saying that, if you genuinely did enjoy this retcon, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'm just jaded and salty because my War in Heaven videos are now outdated and technically misinformation. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Majorkill merch. I won't be talking about this drop again, it's now or never. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more retcon content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.